ChatGPT literally blew the internet a few months back, and now we have ChatGPT4. You must be hearing everyone around you say that ChatGPT is the new future, and you must have been thinking of giving it a try to find out what the hype is all about. Even if you have tried it already, it doesn't hurt to watch this video, because in this video I will not only be introducing you to ChatGPT4, but I will be walking you through its dashboard in detail and also comparing the potential of GPT-3 versus 4 and talking about how GPT-4, the latest and the smartest language model from OpenAI, can be far more effective than you have ever imagined it to be. If you're interested in learning how to unleash GPT-4's immense capabilities of generating marketing strategies, generating engaging content, predicting customer behavior, getting tailored customer responses, helping in business communication, and maybe a lot more, then you must register yourself to complete this course on getting started with GPT-4 that is designed to unlock your potential as a master communicator in digital age. Now, this course is completely free and is available exclusively on Great Learning Academy. The link of this course is shared in the description box below, so if you're interested in learning more about the power of AI, then stick around. Now let's just talk about GPT-4, what it is, right? So as the name suggests, first let's dissect the word called GPT, right? What does it mean? It means generative pre-trained transformer, right? We'll understand each and every word in a greater depth in the next slide, but what GPT is in a nutshell. Now, GPT is a type of artificial intelligence that can generate text. Now, the key word here is generating text. It's a text-based model. It does this by being trained on massive amounts of text data, right? So we talked about the data that comes in, right? The amounts of data that is being generated in the world on a day-to-day basis. So now it is being trained on that data. The algorithm is being trained on that data. The model is being trained on that data. Now, once it is trained, it is used to generate new text by simply starting with a prompt, right? So this GPT is then integrated as a chatbot. So what exactly happens is GPT understands the computer language, right? It does not understand human language. But when you attach it with the chatbot that is integrated in GPT, then it becomes a model in which we as humans can interact with computers in the language that we want. I don't need to learn C programming. I don't need to learn Python. I can still interact with computers. This is exactly what the landscape has changed with GPT models, right? So once it's trained, it can be used to generate new text by simply starting a prompt and letting the model predict what is the next word that is going to come, right? So here are some examples of what GPT can do. It can generate poems, it can code, write scripts, right? Musical pieces, emails, letters, and so on, right? It can generate a lot of information. And how does it know all these things? Because it has been trained in that manner with large amounts of poems to know how it works, large amounts of code. So it knows, by the way, all programming languages possible. It can translate text from one language to the other. If I write something in English and I want something to come up in German, it will give the same how you speak, right? German, it will give it in English, but it will give how it is pronounced in Germany. So it can answer questions about a variety of topics. It can summarize texts, right? You have given, let's say, a debate topic, right? An essay you have written. You want to rephrase it. You need to summarize what is there in that entire flow, right? You want to write an abstract of a research paper, right? It can help you in some manner. I'm not saying that it is accurate to do what you want it to do, but it is well defined in that manner. It definitely would not make much grammatical errors, right? Then let's just dissect the word GPT. What does it mean? Generative, pre-trained transformer. What does it mean? Generative, as the name suggests, it can create a new information, right? Then we talk about pre-trained, right? So initially the models undergo unsupervised pre-training phase where they are exposed to a large amount of data, right? It is basically giving the large amount of data to the model and just telling it, okay, let's start, right? So subsequently the they undergo a supervised fine-tuning phase in which all the errors that they have created in the first iteration, that goes away in the second one, right? Which provide guidance to that model. This fine-tuning process can be tailored to specific tasks, right? Tailor-fitted, right? Write an email in a polite tone, right? That is tailor-made, right? So that is how it learns. The variations in different types of languages, the tone, the variations in different kinds of tone that is there, right? So that is pre-trained. Then comes transformers, right? So it is a deep learning model which utilizes a technique called tracking the relationship in sequential order to learn the context of what is being provided. In the case of GPTs, they observe words or tokens, right? So GPT it doesn't take word. There's a ratio between word and token, but the language it understands to the number of words, right, is tokens in GPT within a sentence and make predictions about the following word or the token, right? So that is generative pre-trained transformer. Now let's just see what are the various steps that are involved in this GPT, right? No one, by the way, everybody talks about how to use GPT. This is the reason why I'm telling you this in detail is that you should know what is the thing that is working behind the scenes, right? You repeat. You can just write everything in ChatGPT or GPT-4 and it will give you some responses. But what is the thinking behind it? Or how does the model work? Why is that it did not come up so many years ago, right? What was the thing that it was being trained on? That is the data, right? So let's just understand the steps that are involved, right, in GPT, in understanding how this is made, right? What does the first set mean, right? What does the first step involves? That is the training the GPT. Now GPT is trained under a process called generative pre-training. Now in generative pre-training, the model is given large corpus of text and is asked to predict the next word in the sequence, right? For example, Ram is playing dash, right? Now it can predict what it is. Playing volleyball, playing tennis, playing chess, a lot of things. Now this process is repeated a lot of times so that the model learns to predict what the next word is with the increasing accuracy. The second step is, as you can see, is splitting the data set. Now this data set is split into two parts. Number one is the training set. Number two is a test set. Now the training set is used to train the GPT model and the test set is used to evaluate that GPT model. The test set is not used to train the model, so it can be used to measure the model's accuracy on the unseen data that is there. The third step, right? The third step is training the GPT model using supervised learning methods. Now the GPT model is trained by supervised learning. So what happens in supervised learning? The model is given a set of input data and a set of output data. Now the model learns to map the input data to the output data. So in case of GPT, the input data is a sequence of words and the output data is the next word in the sequence. This is how it learns. Then we have evaluating the GPT model, right? The model is evaluated on a test set. The accuracy of the model is measured by the percentage of times the model predicts the correct word, right? So this is how it understands what is happening. Then fine-tuning happens of GPT models. It can be fine-tuned for a specific task. Fine-tuning is a process of adjusting the model parameters to improve the performance of that task. Now using ChatGPT, you can generate text, translate the languages, answer various questions that are there, build it across your businesses, integrate in your businesses. There are a lot of Chrome extensions now. You can integrate it into your businesses so that you would have like an AI assistant to you, right? So all these, the other steps that are involved. So the next one is again what we talked about. GPT is trained on a massive set of data, text or code, right? Then the data set is split into the training set and the test set. The training set is used to train the GPT model. The test set is used to evaluate the GPT model. Then the GPT model is fine-tuned, again as we mentioned, on a specific task. Then the model is ready to use. Now this seems to be a very simple process, but trust me on that. It has taken a lot of time, a lot of effort from all the engineers, all the scientists to develop these algorithms, to develop that complex maths, integrate in with the computers so that we get the models that we have today, right? So what is GPT-4 if we talk about? So it is the latest iteration of the language model. It has been designed with the focus of enhancing the alignment with the user intentions. Now GPT-4 is made by the company called OpenAI. So that is the parent company that makes these models, ChatGPT or GPT-4. Now it aims to improve the accuracy of the outputs, right? It has a higher order thinking. It has a cognitive thinking. It has a logical reasoning, better, high quality logical reasoning, right? So compared to its predecessor, it demonstrated better performance in the factual correctness of the things that are there, and the error rates are low. It also introduced advancements in the steerability, right? The enabling the users to customize the model's tone, the tonality, and also the style according to the requirement that is there, right? GPT-4 adheres more strictly to the guidelines that are there, refusing to fulfill any inappropriate request that comes up, right? Now, what are the capabilities of GPT-4? If you ask me, it's unlike its predecessors, it has the ability to both analyze image and text. Okay, this is very important. In GPT-4 model, you can integrate images and it will give you a text output. The output will always remain text, but you can input images, which was not the case in ChatGPT, right? Enhancing its capability to connect the image content with the written questions. Now, GPT-4 exhibits superior performance in variety of tasks that involves creativity and again advanced reasoning compared to the ChatGPT. Now, with the capacity to process the entire scientific papers in one go and tackle the complex questions and establish the connections, right? It is good in establishing connections. So if you have a thread running in of questions, of prompts, it has a better ability to analyze that, right? Understand the way you are thinking, right? Again, the data we are feeding and they're learning towards it, the prompts, right? From that questions they're learning, right? Now, GPT-4 employs a token-based measurement. This is what I mentioned to you, that it does not really understand words. It understands a thing called tokens. On an average, 75 words occupy 100 tokens. So that's the transaction between a word and a token. Now, GPT-4 has shown impressive results in standardizing tests like bar. So it has passed the bar examination, LSATs, GRE, etc. Right? So it has developed that human level intelligence, right? Which has benchmark indexes, right? Now we talk about the limitations of GPT-4. Now there are social biases, the various prompts that are there. That is still a challenge that GPT-4 faces, right? Now, GPT-4 is pre-trained data, right? Whatever, the more important thing is that it showcases a bit of bias towards things which is not very accurate, right? So the GPT-4 is trained till September 2021. It does not understand the current scenario of how the world is growing. The data it possesses is from throughout history till September 2021. So for anyone who wants help in whatever is going on in today's world, will not have any use of ChatGPT per se. It can rephrase texts, it can modify certain things that you provide as an input, but it would not consider, it does not have that knowledge of the things that are going on, right? Because the data that is input is till September 2021. Now, the user need to be cautious about inputting prompts that may lead to unintended output called jailbreaks, right? So we need to be cautious about it. It may give you results that you did not intend to have, right? So this is important. Then GPT-4 has a room of improvement in understanding and generating languages other than English. It's bit more biased towards English. It understands English absolutely in a very incredible way, but other languages, it needs a bit of time. It needs a bit of understanding to develop that. It lacks the capability to analyze audio or video content, right? Still now, image is done, but audio and video, it still has not been developed and it is still in process. So yeah, once we get that audio and video one, then it would be another level of GPT would be seeing. Then GPT-4 occasionally makes mathematical errors that a calculator would make. This is rare occasions, but it still exists. So we need to be careful. These are the limitations of GPT-4. Now, the predecessor, right? The ChatGPT. Now, it was developed by OpenAI. It's an AI research organization, which was first non-profit. Now it has been more profit side. been on the grounds that it has become a proper organization and not non-profit. Then ChatGPT is again GPT architecture that has been trained on a large, tremendous amount of data to give human-like text in response, right? So these are the things. OpenAI is the company that builds it. It has done a fantastic job in building this ChatGPT and the model that we use today. Now, after talking about the capabilities and limitations of GPT-4 model, now let's talk about how the dashboard looks like, how it is different from GPT 3.5, and what are the key differences between the free part of it and the paid version, that is GPT-4, right? So what are the key features in a nutshell that we discussed as well is about that you can input the images in GPT-4 model, while in case of ChatGPT 3.5, you could not really put any images. You could only input text there, right? So you can input text as well as image in GPT-4. Now, what are the other key differences that are there? So basically, GPT-4 is an advanced model, right? It has advanced capability of logical reasoning. Its structuring is in with enormous large amount of data. So it's better well versed with how basic functionalities work, and it has a higher order thinking in that perspective. So let's look at ChatGPT4 dashboard. Let's log in into it. So I'll open my Chrome window. You can use any search engine that you want, Chrome or Bing. You can just type. So the parent company that makes GPT, ChatGPT and GPT-4 is OpenAI. So I'll search for OpenAI. Right, this is the first link that we see is OpenAI. Right, so we can see that they have a number of things that they are working on building these artificial intelligence products, right? So one such product that we are discussing today is GPT-4. So let's go into the product section. You can see ChatGPT is there, GPT-4 is there, DALL-E is there. So there are different types of products that this company make in terms of artificial intelligence. So let's look at GPT-4 for now. So when I click to GPT-4, now it says that it's the most advanced system that produces, safe and more user responsiveness is there, right? So this is what the crux is about there. You can see in the website, they've talked about what key differences are there, right? And how is it different from ChatGPT, right? One such example you can see. So this input is there in which Andrew is free from 11 to 3, Joni is free from noon to 2 p.m. and then 3:30 to 5. So it basically the crux behind ChatGPT and GPT-4 is that in GPT-4 you get more crisp, advanced reasoning answers, right? And you would get a bit more vague answers in ChatGPT, the older model of it, but you will get a more precise and a more crisp results when we talk about GPT-4, right? And in terms of passing the exams, right, the benchmarks that they have set, GPT-4 even outperformed ChatGPT in that regard, right? So if you can see uniform bar exam, ChatGPT scored 10th and GPT-4 90th. So this is the level in which it performs, right? So with this, it tells about how advanced GPT-4 model is than ChatGPT, right? So now let's just log in and see what more things we can do, right? So let's just log in to try on ChatGPT 4 Plus, log in, right? We'll fill in the details. So after filling in the details, what we will do is we'll just log into the GPT-4 model. Right, so this is the sort of user interface that we have for GPT-4. It's pretty much the same as GPT-3. With ChatGPT and GPT-4, what the key difference is that the UI remains the same, more or less. What the difference comes in that when you're paying for an extra, ability for this model, you get the GPT-4 model right there, but you can always switch back to GPT 3.5 in the same window. You don't need to create any free account for that. In the paid version as well, you can go back to 3.5. So what is the major change that they have done is that in GPT-4 you cannot use it in one go, how many ever prompts you want. It is limited. It has a cap of 25 messages every 3 hours. So in every 3 hours you can only type in 25 such questions, right? So this is the key. Then whatever you do after that, they will revert back to the GPT 3.5 model, right? So these are the key differences. Again, now these are the different strings or different chat sections that are created over here. Consider it like you're using WhatsApp, right? You have numerous threads, you have numerous people that you're talking to, right? So each individual has a different chat options. So similarly, when you are typing in different queries related to different sort of topics, right? Each topic gets created into a different what do we call it, a chat section, right? You have to set it in a different chat section. So the thing with ChatGPT and GPT-4 model is that it learns from the data that you provide, right? So if I'm typing in XYZ things, right? Hey, can you tell me something about marketing, right? So if I type in such things, let's just type in GPT-4 for now. So what will happen is that when I type in, and now what it would do is it would know that this entire chat would be created, right? A new chat would be created. Then what would happen is that in the entire conversation, it will stick its brain power to marketing. It will know that, okay, you're talking from the marketing perspective of things, right? So it has that kind of data that you put in. It has a sort of memory to realize, okay, this is what the human wants me to interact with. That is marketing, right? So you'll get a variety. Again, as I mentioned, that in the differences between GPT 3.5 and 4 model is that you get much more crisp results, right? With a lot more better logical reasoning and higher order thinking in what the user would want, right? So that is why this is what you're paying for. You're paying for an extra amount of preciseness to what you really want the answers from GPT-4 model, right? Again, the drawbacks is remains the same in this model itself, that it is trained up to August or September of 2021. So after that, any new information that is there would not be present in any of these models, GPT-4 or GPT 3.5. But what you get out of paying extra, what you get out of paying for this service is that you get more crisp answers, more better quality answers, and more precise answer in to the way you want the answers to be, right? You can type in X number of commands, right? So we'll see all these examples when we go ahead, right? So basically, this is the user interface that they have. You can chat, you can type in your prompts over here. You can regenerate the response. If I do not like what I'm seeing over here, I can regenerate the response right here. I can tell them, right, this is for their feedback, if this was a good one or this was something which was not good. So this is what is there in this chart as well. So you can also make changes to the queries, the prompts that you put in, right? You can always, modify, just like I can change what I want to about. I can be more precise, right? I can talk about digital marketing, right? So I can save and submit, and it would give me much more precise answers, right? So you can always have, and it has a memory of its own, right? So it has a memory. You can always go back to the last prompt that you were searching for. You can always come back to the current prompt that you're working on, right? So these are the more crisp and precise things that are present in the GPT-4 model. It is much more advanced in terms of higher order thinking, right? So let's move on and let's learn something about let's just say business, or let's just say marketing, or let's just say content creation, right? So let's just start off with marketing at first. So let's move into the first demo world part of this course. Let's talk about the GPT-4 for business. Let's see what are the prompts that we can provide and what are the results that we're expecting from a paid version of OpenAI, that is GPT-4. So let's look at some of the prompts from the business perspective. How the things, if you're running a business, or if you want to know about a business, what are the key things that you want to ask, right? Remember, the difference between GPT 3.5 and 4 is that it has a higher order thinking. It has much more logical reasoning to it. So what are we trying to do is we're trying to give them a set of information in the manner that we want to get, right? So that it uses its brain in that manner and structure the content in that way that it gives us precise results, right? So let's talk about GPT-4 for business. So we'll go back to our prompt section, right? We'll go back to the section. Now we'll see what are the things that we can provide, right? So now, as I mentioned, I want to start with a new chat option here. Now I'll choose the one that is GPT-4. Okay, so also as you can see in the screen that it mentions that our most capable model great for tasks that require creativity and advanced reasoning, right? That is GPT-4. GPT-3 is for your everyday task. You want to rephrase a word, you want to find something in a much more vague manner, but you want to just get a gist of that topic, then GPT-3 is the best. It is, again, the second more key difference is that the results in GPT 3.5 are much more fast, right? Because the processing is fast of GPT 3.5. While we talking about GPT-4, since it has a lot of complex mathematics that goes behind in that model, it takes a bit of time and to gather the results that we are expecting for. So we'll get better quality results, but with a slight bit of delay would be there, right? So let's talk about GPT-4 for business, and let's type in our first prompt regarding that, right? Okay, so when we talk about GPT-4 model for business, let's just type in the prompts that we want to talk about business for. So let's just look at this prompt, right? So here what I have done is that I have given them a set of instructions that I want the GPT-4 model to do for me, right? So conduct an in-depth analysis of the status of the pharma sector, right? The medical pharma sector, exploring its trends, right? This is the first thing that I want GPT-4 model to look at. Challenges, number 2. Number 3 is the opportunity, right? Now utilize this relevant data and statistics to support your analysis. Now I want GPT-4 to analyze in these regards, that is trends, challenges and opportunities, providing the insights to. Now the second part of this question, right, is that I want GPT-4 to provide me insights into the market size, the growth rate, the consumer behavior of the pharma sector, right? Now identify the key players that are there in the industry in the US, including the established companies and emerging startups. Now I've given them the data, the level in which the data needs to be analyzed for, right? So it is like take examples of the established companies that are there and the emerging startups that are there. Now offer both short-term and long-term industry forecast, considering the potential developments and the impact of future events or future advancements in that sector, right? Now discuss any potential disruptions or opportunities, right? Now I have also given them a negative side of it, in which I want them to tell me what are the challenges that would be there, right? Potential disruptions if there are in that particular companies or in that sector as a whole. So I want it to inform me about that, to give me a disclaimer. Okay, these are the things that can be done arising from the technological advancement, regulatory changes or shift in consumer preferences, right? So this is what I have given a gist of what the prompts look like. Now if you want GPT-4 to give you better results, you have to give them, you just do not give them one line statements, then it would be a variety of things that would be coming. Give them crisp questions, right? Give them questions that are to the niche that you want it to be, right? Don't give them vague sort of questions, because the results then would not be that effective. The prompts that you are feeding in should be with a level of research from a human perspective, right? Give them what you exactly want the model to give you, right? So this is what it is. Now let's just run through this prompt and let's see what GPT-4 has to say. Okay. So we have got the answer from GPT-4 regarding the prompt that I feed into it, right? So at first it just reminds you about the fact that the knowledge that the training was cut off in September 2021. So it will give you a gist of that. Okay, current market analysis cannot be done, but I'll give you the forecast of what might have happened during that time, right? So the point with this is, it's a good thing from GPT-4 model that it gives you the reminder that whatever you asking me about anything is only valid up till September 2021, right? So let's look at the answer. Let's just analyze what the answer is about. Now first, as I mentioned in the prompt, that I want GPT-4 to give me the trends that are there, right? So first it gives me a big heading of the trends that are there. Now it gives me personalized medicine and precision medicine. In the recent years, they have been moved towards the personalized medicine treatments, right? Then there's telehealth that is there, right? Due to the COVID, it takes into consideration COVID-19. There's been significant increase in the adoption of telehealth services. The trend has the potential to significantly change how pharmaceutical care is provided. Then it is about growing biotech. It just gives me a gist of it. Now, the biotech sector has been experiencing substantial growth. Biotech companies are at the forefront of innovation in the drug development. Then comes the challenges, right? The second aspect that I wanted to tell me was about the challenges that are being faced, right? So the regulatory hurdles are there. Then high research and development costs are there in pharmaceutical development is a costly process, right? And since we have talked about the US, it's even more, right? We fed in the information for the US, right? So the cost of healthcare is more, right? So it's talking about, okay, the costs are very high in terms of the research that is need to be put in. Pricing pressure. There's increasing scrutiny on the drug pricing, which calls for more transparency and affordability. This has put pressure on the pharmaceutical companies and profit margins. Then the third aspect that I want it to tell me was about the opportunities, right? So emerging markets, it's mostly the markets that are in the developing region. So it states precisely that there are significant opportunities in the emerging markets, right? As Asia and Africa, where the population and healthcare needs are rapidly growing. Now, the second part is the digital health. Now, advancement in technology offer opportunities for companies to streamline their operations, improve the drug discovery process, and enhance the patient care. Then is the aging populations. With the populations in the developed countries aging, there is a significantly high demand for the treatment for chronic and age-related diseases. Then it talks about the things that I wanted, key players. So it talks about the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and all these companies that are there, right, as of 2021, which were the major players in the US pharma sector, right? So it gives us what was there in 2021 with the precise information about Pfizer, Johnson's, and other companies or pharmaceutical companies. Then emerging startups, right? Moderna, BioNTech. So these are also a very, very good thing that they also know about the startups that are just emerging, right? Then the forecast that I mentioned. In short term, companies will likely continue to deal with the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, which might involve increased demand for certain treatments and increased investment in vaccine development, right? During the 2021, the major focus of the pharma industries was to roll out the vaccines in a much more fast-paced manner. So that is the reason why they have mentioned that increased investment in the vaccine development and distribution. Now, let me be very clear that these are the forecasts from 2021's perspective. Now, the things have changed. It might not be the case, the short-term case, as what we are experiencing right now, right? So long-term. In the long term, the pharma sector is expected to grow. Key factors driving the growth may include the increasing global population, the rising prevalence of chronic diseases, technological advancement, and increased healthcare expenditure, right? Then we also talked about the technological disruptions and opportunities. So it gave me, okay, AI is one thing that would automate things. AI is one thing that would be used in drug discovery. Machine learning will make things happen much more efficient manner. Then is gene and cell therapies, right? This is a broad overview based on the information available up to 2021. For the current and comprehensive analysis, you should consult a market research firm, right? So it gives us a gist of what is happening in this pharma sector, the pharma industries, right? So what are the key things that we are mentioning over here is that if you give them a prompt that is precise, if you give them a prompt that has all the segments divided into it. Okay, this is the research part, this is the analysis part that I want GPT to do, then the forecast about those results. So it will give you a gist of whatever it is happening, whatever information you have provided in the prompts, right? So it will give you a gist of all those things.